Compassionate viewers, welcome to today's Animal World, our co-inhabitants, for our Stop Animal Cruelty series, where we will investigate the inhumane practice of hunting innocent, sensitive whales. Whales and dolphins, which belong to the order Cetacea, are mammals and so are warm-blooded, breathe air and give birth to live young. These gentle giants of the sea are also extremely intelligent. It is estimated that the average beluga whale has an IQ of 155, which in human terms is genius level. It is estimated that the great artist, visionary and inventor Leonardo da Vinci had an IQ of 158. Mr. David Gomez of the Coalition for Animal Rights, or CDA, in Chile explains more about the intricate roles whales play in our marine ecosystem.
La ballena es uno de los animales más grandes del mundo, de los mamíferos, por ejemplo, marinos más grandes que existen, y cumple una función vital en el ecosistema marino. Entre sus características como animales, son animales de una inteligencia muy característica. Viven en grupos, crían a sus hijos durante largo tiempo, y según estudios que se han hecho, los cantos que son muy característicos que en ellas siguen ciertos patrones, y eso se puede incluso comparar con los patrones que sigue un lenguaje humano, porque se puede deducir que tienen algún sistema lingüístico. Aparte, según la región en que viven las ballenas, estos cantos tienen ciertas características específicas, por lo que también se puede deducir que tienen unas diferencias como las que tienen los dialectos humanos, que varían según la región en que vivan grupos humanos de personas. Por eso también se está planteando que hay dialectos de ballenas según el lugar del océano en que viven.
¿Y nos podría decir algo sobre el cuidado que tienen ellos con sus bebés?
Ya que son mamíferos, necesita estar el bebé durante largo tiempo, meses, años incluso, según el tipo de ballena, viviendo junto a su madre. Entre todo el grupo cuidan a los más pequeños, y ya que son animales gregarios y viajan a larga distancia según la temporada del año y según la alimentación que necesite el tipo de ballena.
However, despite their sensitive, caring natures, these marine beings have been hunted almost to the point of extinction. To monitor the situation, the global community established the International Whaling Committee, or IWC, in 1946. The IWC was formed after Dr. Harry D. Lilly, who served as a physician on a whaling ship, made the following statement. If we can imagine a horse having 2 or 3 explosive spears stuck into its stomach and being made to pull a butcher's truck through the streets of London while it pours blood in the gutter, we shall have an idea of the present method of killing. The gunners themselves admit that if whales could scream, the industry would stop, for nobody would be able to stand it. In 1986, the IWC completely banned commercial whaling in order to protect the dwindling numbers of whales such as the humpback, of which only 20,000 remain in the Pacific Ocean. But, despite the ban, some countries continue to mercilessly hunt whales.
Ahora, el maltrato va netamente a lo que es caza ballena. Según la Comisión Ballenera Internacional, hay 3 tipos de caza: aborigen, científico y comercial. En la caza aborigen se permite que ciertos grupos étnicos cacen para mantener su, entre comillas, cultura, por ejemplo 5, 10 o 15 ballenas cada año, siendo que no hay ninguna necesidad de que se haga. Ya estamos en el siglo XXI, tenemos diferentes accesos a alimentación, no como hace 200 o 500 años. Está la caza científica, que permite que se cacen ballenas con fines de investigación. Ahora, esta caza está muy ligada a lo que es la caza comercial, que está prohibida internacionalmente. Japón, por ejemplo, que caza anualmente en la Antártica alrededor de 1000 ballenas con fines supuestamente científicos. Para investigar, no sé, por ejemplo, lo que sucede en el oído medio de la ballena y de qué se alimentan. Para eso cazan 1000 ballenas que después terminan, para financiar supuestamente esta investigación, en restaurantes, que terminan en supermercados como hamburguesas incluso. En el Atlántico Norte, por ejemplo, también se cazan ballenas por parte de barcos que son principalmente noruegos y holandeses, en la Antártica, acá en el Pacífico Sur, en el Pacífico Norte también se siguen cazando.
During a chase, whales suffer physically from a condition known as exertional myopathy, and some are so sensitive that they die from the shock and exertion of the chase alone.
Ahora, la forma en que se realiza esta caza, se persiguen a los grupos de ballenas por parte de los barcos balleneros, y cuando logran llegar a cierta distancia a la ballena, al momento de salir a tomar aire, se le dispara un arpón que se llama arpón granada. Este arpón tiene en su punta un explosivo. Cuando impacta la ballena, explota. Eso hace que entre el arpón y la ballena empieza a desangrarse, y durante, puede ser 10 minutos, media hora, con más tiempo, la ballena está agonizando, con un trozo menos de su cuerpo.
Once the harpoon is embedded inside the whale, the grenade explodes, causing massive trauma and internal bleeding from lacerations. In addition, shockwaves from the blast cause neurotrauma, that is, brain and spinal cord damage. In most cases, the whales are fully conscious as they die slowly from their horrific wounds. So profuse is the bleeding that many harpooned whales spew blood from the blowholes on top of their heads. On the tips of the harpoons lie two spring-loaded claws that extend into the animal's flesh so as to anchor the line or rope, which is now tethered to the vessel. These claws cause further injury and pain as they widen the hole by more than 60 centimeters. Mr. Diego Taboada, president of the Whale Conservation Institute in Argentina, describes the sad fate of these magnificent ocean beings.
Estas ballenas simplemente son arponeadas desde un barco que después las lleva a un barco más grande de factoría, que es la que las procesa y los transforma en bloques de carne que van a puerto.
When Animal World Our Co-Inhabitants returns, we will further investigate the cruelty of whaling. Please keep your dial tuned here to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Animal World Our Co-Inhabitants and our Stop Animal Cruelty series. In today's program, we are investigating on the inhumanity and suffering our whale friends suffer. Whalers use a penthrite harpoon to hunt whales, and if it does not kill the whale quickly enough, a secondary weapon is deployed, usually another explosive harpoon. Mr. Michael Alvarez Toy, spokesperson of the Calgary Animal Rights Coalition in Canada, describes the cruel secondary methods used to slaughter whales.
With respect to the whales, we've established the cruelty of slaughtering these creatures through the use of harpoons, grenade-tipped. 60% die lingering deaths, painful deaths with holes punched into them. If they don't die quickly enough with the first harpoon, oftentimes a second one is used, and or rifles with a minimum 9.3 millimeter caliber. It's unbelievable if you see up close the actual killing of a whale.
There is no upper limit to the number of bullets that can be used. It could be as high as 200 rounds. Each burning piece of metal pierces through the animal's body, causing searing pain as well as internal organ damage and bleeding.
These are animals that flee their killers. The chase is given till these animals are starved of oxygen, tired, and yet they still fight and run. Not fight as an aggression, but fight as they have this will to live, this will to escape their predators. Even as they're tiring out.
an International Whaling Committee report concluded that 2 of every 16 whales die from asphyxiation. This happens when the whale is harpooned in the tail area and hauled out of the water so that its head and blowhole are submerged, causing it to suffocate and drown. Sometimes the animal is hauled onto the factory boat still alive. It is known that some whales are still alive and capable of feeling pain as they are sliced open, butchered and processed. The bleeding of these gentle giants is so profuse that the factory ship deck is submerged in 6 to 8 centimeters of blood. Worse still, 60% of all females caught are pregnant, and the fetus usually dies shortly after the mother, or it is brutally killed. Dr. Lance Barrett-Leonard, who is head of the cetacean research program at Vancouver Aquarium and an adjunct professor of zoology at the University of British Columbia, explains that the fatalities of whales extend beyond just the number that are harpooned and brought onto ships.
We know that when an old female dies, the mortality of her sons, at least, the chance that her sons will die over the next year or so goes up. These old females are very important to the population. If something happens to an old female, if an old female is startled, everybody in the group reacts, and if a young animal is startled, that doesn't occur. So these kinds of relationships and assessing, who is most important to me, or who do I interact with most in these groups, happens in orca societies just the same way that it does in human societies.
In addition to captured whales, significant numbers are categorized as struck and lost, meaning they have either been hit by harpoons or shot but have managed to escape. These animals almost certainly die from their wounds. Whether caught or lost, the anguish is not limited to the whale itself, but extends to its entire pod.
One thing that you see that's very striking is that if a calf dies, its mother may carry its body around for days, sometimes even weeks, and a group of whales will sometimes hold up a dying companion or even a dead companion at the surface for long periods of time.
All of the methods of capturing and killing whales run counter to the humane slaughter and animal welfare standards set by the World Organization for Animal Health, or OIE, an intergovernmental body responsible for improving animal health, comprised of 172 member nations and recognized as a reference group by the World Trade Organization, or WTO. There are still countries that are seeking to overturn the International Whaling Committee ban to resume commercial whaling. To stop the death of thousands of whales, please write to your government telling them how you feel about these atrocious acts.
For those who would like to help bring an end to the whaling industry, and it has to be done now, because every year passing means more thousands of whales killed, murdered. Contact organizations such as Sea Shepherd. Contact your own officials. Many countries out there are opposed to whaling. But by working with your own country, by letting your own voice stand up, by organizing rallies, and saying that we will not be a part of this carnage, it's the most effective way, because without a voice, we have nothing. Thank you.
May we all adopt vegan lifestyles to stop the suffering of all animal co-inhabitants on land, in the air, and in the sea. Thank you for your blessed presence today for Animal World, our co-inhabitants. Coming up next is enlightening entertainment, right after noteworthy news, here on Supreme Master Television. Heaven bless all beings to live in peace and dignity.